Better. I think it works. Hopefully it works. Hopefully you can hear me. We're fine. Right there. I'm somewhat in the picture, kind of, sort of. Okay. Yeah. Sorry to make you sick. Blah. All righty. I will wait for everybody to kind of log on here. I am on 1, 2, 3, 4 different platforms. So I will just wait for just a second for people to kind of get jumping on. I'm going to turn my phone off. Yeah. All right. Hi, everybody. So this one is the Metaphysical Anatomy Q&A. So people that have ailments and maybe why you would be sick to certain things and stuff. So yes. If you guys are extra today, extra emotional, extra sensitive, just extra, that's gonna be from the Schumann resonance has been off the charts. So it's kind of reacting from the solar flares that we had, but Schumann resonance been off the charts. And so that's why we're kind of feeling dizzy, not feeling or sleep. You're either getting 12 hours or 2. Yeah, it's just, you're feeling like you got hit by a Mack truck. You're right on point. These are some big shifts we've been having, big shifts. So like I said, you're going to hear me say this a lot tonight, but like I said, dizziness, attitudes, not feeling grounded, just like I said, and having negative attitudes or sour attitudes, and sleep, you're either sleeping 2 hours or 12. So like I said, headaches, ear ringing, heart palpitations, it's all kind of going nutso. So like I said, whenever we have a solar flare, a lot of times the earth kind of reacts a little bit, and that's what's happening is the Schumann resonance is really kind of getting off the charts. And so whenever that happens, weather gets kind of crazy, which here in Nebraska and Iowa and South Dakota, it's been extra crazy with rain and flood. So but it also affects us as humans too. So this is where I'm going to tell you, make sure that you're staying hydrated. Like water is going to be key right now. And either you're not going to be that thirsty or you're going to be like drinking like a camel. Get outside, feet to earth, just lay low. Try. I've been kind of putting a lot of my stuff off until this weekend just because it's so spicy right now. So, and it's really difficult for clear communication. So even though Mercury really doesn't have much to do with anything, I know Saturn's going retrograde here pretty soon, which is big. But with Mercury's not in retrograde, but we're all experiencing miscommunication. So just mean what you say what you mean, or don't say shit at all. Like it's not the time to like, yeah, be funny, sarcastic. It'll be taken the wrong way. So, but like I said, it's just been, like I said, dizziness, headaches. Our third eye, our crown, our throat, we're all really kind of thrown off right now. All of us are. And so, like I said, lay low, chill, woo-saw, try to avoid people if you can. And if you have to, deal with people, be as nice as you can, as quickly as possible, and get out of there. So, like I said, it's been tough. So like I said, the best thing I can do is tell you, just hang in there, guys. This will pass, but we're all getting kind of, I guess, revved up a little, if you want to think about it that way. So, and these, like I said, I knew that we were going into a solar maximum. That's really not going to change. We're going to keep experiencing this type of weather for an energy for a while here. So like I said, this is all helping us to grow at a soul level, and growing pains are exactly that, pains. So hang in there. Like I said, duck and weave with this energy, but hydration is going to be key. You're going to find that you may, certain foods aren't going to sit good in your tummy, or you're either starving or you're not hungry at all. So I have not been hungry at all. So I really haven't been. I'm really, my fruits are pretty good right now, but I'm not hungry, and the heat doesn't help. So it's been kind of hard. And then Steven, my son, who's 19, he's inhaling food. So, and that's not normally him either. So it's kind of funny. But like I said, it's just, the energy has not been nice. So, and I don't think it's really going to get much easier anytime soon. So just kind of hang in there the best that you guys can. But like I said, grounding, remember your practices, meditate, things like that, best you can. So, but this one is for the Metaphysical Anatomy. So this one's, like I said, this is the one where if you have aches and pains or something's going wrong, usually it is because that you're holding on to a negative, a subconscious emotion for an extended period of time. So, but yeah, so like I said, and really watch the sweets, guys, because a lot of times when the Schumann goes off, at least for me personally, I've noticed that you're going to really want sugar or salt. And either one of those, if you're craving sugar and salt, that's a mineral deficiency in your body. That's telling you something's off, whether that's vitamin D, vitamin B, something's off. So be really making sure that you're taking your vitamins. Like I said, I'm a big proponent in vitamins because we have Frankenfood anyway. But you might also notice that you can have a glass of like wine or alcohol, and it's going to hit you a little harder than it normally would. So again, that is because this energy is just getting lighter and lighter and more intense. So your goal, it's almost forcing you to pay attention and to slow down. Pay attention to what you're feeding your body. Pay attention to what you're thinking. Pay attention. It's keeping us more in the here and now. So best it can anyway. So, but just like I said, duck and weave and hang in there because this energy it's been pretty intense. So it's not easy. So hang in there. Yeah, Amber she's talking about the Schumann resonance here. Whiteouts are basically when the earth is like burping. And then sometimes it doesn't always register. So you're going to see that blank spot. So I don't know why it does that, but it seems like it's blacking out a lot. So some people call those timeline shifts. I don't really know about that, but I can tell you that you know, when you see that white and that Schumann resonance, that's when we're having a pretty good episode, and we've been having them pretty often. So like I said, just really take care of yourself. Like I said, you're either sleeping 2 hours or 12. You're either inhaling food or not hungry at all. So you're going to be dizzy, discombobulated, dropping things all the time. The ears are going to be kind of feeling like they're full or ringing or buzzing a lot more often, heart palpitations. And you're also going to start noticing that people can easily misspeak, and you're going to hit the ceiling. It's going to piss you off. So like I said, just make sure that you mean what you say and you say what you mean. And it's kind of like what my mom used to say, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. Yeah. So like I said, I've been laying on the down low, been quiet. So that's when I'm like, go outside, chill best you can. And I'm fully where it's hot. Like I get that. But after I get done with this, I'm going to go get my clothes on. I'm going to go for a walk. So, cause I know that if I don't, I'm not sleeping tonight. So it's like, if I don't even get a little bit of exercise, I'm not sleeping, and I'll be lucky if I get 4 hours, and like, I'm not sleeping hardly at all. But weird. It's like, I'm not tired the next day. I don't need it that much. So remember, when you go through those spiritual awakening, when you first go through a spiritual awakening, you don't sleep. It's because your pineal gland is producing melatonin and serotonin, and that's why that's open. So we're kind of going through that a little bit of a push again. So Brittany, there's a couple reasons why people might get blood cancer, but cancer, wherever it shows up, is usually a form of resentment. And usually when I see blood cancer, those are from my workaholics. They don't go on vacation. They don't leave the house. They go to work and they go home, and that's their life. So bladder cancer usually is holding on to resentment, and you're really pissed off with it too. So like I said, any cancer, depending on where it is you holding on to resentment for something or someone. So, but bladder cancer is literally being pissed off, and you're blaming other people for pissing you off when that's not true. You control your anger. You control your thoughts. You control your emotions. So ulcer, I think somebody was asking about ulcers. Ulcers are somebody who's constantly kind of worried. And it's not like, oh my God, like fear. It's a naggy worry. Like, I've got to do this so this doesn't happen bad. I've got to do this so this doesn't happen bad. And I got to do this so this doesn't happen bad. But they're always constantly moving, but they're internal warriors. So usually when I see people with ulcers, 9 times out of 10, they have migraine issues too, because those always seem to go hand in hand due to that little bit of perfectionism tendency. What causes COPD? Started EMDR with therapists and got worse. Hey, Denise, that's okay. So, and I'll tell you why. sometimes when you are figuring out the subconscious negative shit you've been holding on to, what happens is your body releases it and lets it go. And then it gets your body in a place of allowance where it can heal itself. So sometimes it gets worse and then all of a sudden it gets better. So with you working through a therapist, especially with EMDR, love that, because that brings out subconscious trauma and issues. So you're bringing that stuff to the surface. Yeah, it's absolutely going to affect your CPTSD a little bit more often than if we weren't working on that issue. Basically, you're clearing your plate to get some good stuff in there. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but again, we're going to watch your breathing, make sure you're checking in with doctor and everything else, but usually that one's it. What if it's bladder cancer as a baby? Then Shannon, you have to look at the mother, because things can happen in utero. My dad was born deaf. That's because of what happened to him in utero. There was so much noise, so much yelling, he went deaf in utero to protect his hearing. So if something happened as a baby, then I have to look at what may have possibly happened in utero when the mom was carrying the child. Suggestions for dealing with panic attacks. It's hard because you have to know what the ultimate issue is. And a lot of times it's grief, believe it or not. It could be another traumatic event, and panic attacks kind of suck because when they hit, you don't consciously always know where it's coming from. You just know it kind of hits you and it feels like you're having a heart attack. So this is where we have to learn how to meditate. We got to learn how to work with the subconscious a little bit, but meditation is, you're going to find, really going to help with panic attacks. It really, really does. But in the meantime, meds work to kind of get us by until we can work with what we need to work with when it decides to pop out. So that's what tricky things with panic attacks. Left hip pain, infections aren't doing much. Any ideas? So Jen, left hip pain has a lot to do with indecision. You have a hard time making decision, especially with creativity, with your mother, or when it comes to intuition or psychic abilities or spiritual connection. So this is a big one where make a decision, stick with it. So, and hip pain is always with indecision because they don't know, they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to make the decision. They want somebody else to do it for them. And I'm like, life doesn't work that way. So should I take antibiotics prescribed for sinuses if 11 days? I'll tell you what, April, there are certain areas in the body that I don't screw with. Sinuses are one of them. Teeth is another one I don't mess with. I'll take antibiotics for that. And the reason why, it's close to your blood-brain barrier. We don't mess with that. So if you've had it for 11 days and you're, doing those nasal washes and they're not really working, let's get some antibiotics. Let's get you helped out, knock it out. So like I said, whenever things are close to the brain, especially with teeth, sinuses, eyes, I don't really mess around with that. If doc's like, let's get you an antibiotic, I'm going to take it. And then I'll have to take other like yogurt to balance my gut issue because it'll rip your good bacteria out of your guts, right? This is actually really common, Samantha, and I'm glad that you asked this. Lost your father, you find that you're in a lot of physical joint pain. Is that related? Yes, it can be. Yes, it can. So a lot of times grief, not just subconscious. Again, we're not talking about things that you're actively talking about. It's just kind of back in the brain. So I find that a lot when people have physical joint pain, they have trouble sleeping at night, or they have lung or heart issues. So that's very common because of a broken heart. So best thing I can do is to tell you, like I said, copper works great for joint pain, but it will pass. As you get a little bit past the grief, which takes time, you'll start to heal. So just kind of hang in there, but it's really surprising how many people don't realize that if you go through grief, usually 3, 6, 9, 12 months after that event, you're going to have something, whether that's a heart issue or a lung issue like pneumonia or joint issue, something. It's really common. So don't beat yourself up over it. But the best thing is ask dad to give you a sign. He'll give you one. He'll give you one. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Severe thumb, lower mound, right thumb, thumbs. Man, I forget my palmistry. I think that one has to do with like your foundation, your grounding, who you are. So right thumb would be anything with your dad. So Christy, I'm curious to know if you're having any issues with your dad. I doubt with a husband, maybe more of a son. And that has a lot to do with not wanting to let them go. How do you use the copper for pain? Just like those, you know, a lot of times copper is even woven into clothing. So you can get like a copper bracelet and put it on, or, you know, those copper like knee sleeves, things like that. So just anywhere on you, really. Do I use or recommend using grounding sheets? I finally ordered a pair. I've had 2 pairs before, but I'm sorry, they felt like diapers. I couldn't do it. I'm like, I can't sleep on a diaper. So I ordered one that was somebody had sent me. So I'm going to test that one out and see. But boy, once I find one that I like, I'll post it on my Amazon page and then I'll share it with you guys. But I want to try it first. So I got one coming. It should actually be here tomorrow. So, but I do use grounding mats too. I use grounding mats more in the summertime, or excuse me, in the wintertime. I use grounding sheets usually a little bit more in the wintertime because I'm outside a lot. So I try to go outside for 15 minutes a day, feet to earth, back up against a tree, whatever I can find. So I try to do that to really help, you know, get the energy moving in the body so it doesn't get all stuck and gross. So, but grounding sheets, like I said, usually I use those more towards fall and winter when I can't get outside, but works good. So this is a great question. How do you heal from trauma, years of it, and convert nice yourself so you can be happy again? So here's the thing that's different, I think, about mental health that maybe people don't think about. I know that when you break your leg, you expect a 6 to 8 week recovery, right? Maybe 12. Well, mental health, after you have trauma with it, it's not going to be over in like 6, 8, 12 weeks. It's going to take a lot more time than that. And you will get tested, you'll get triggered, and how you respond to those triggers, the less you respond, the less those triggers will appear, right? So really understand that the trauma that was done to you gives you a different lens to which you look out of. And we have to change that perspective because this is the only perspective that you're used to. When I'm saying you should look over here, you're like, but that's not in my perspective. So highly recommend therapy, because a lot of times a therapist can recommend maybe a perspective that you haven't thought about before. And for you to go, oh, that's it. That's how I need to see it. Or they might say something for you to go, that's it. And it just takes that one little thing to click for you to go, oh, I've never seen it from that perspective. So like I said, I'm going to highly recommend counselor on this one. But ultimately, you deserve to be happy. It's a birthright. Everybody does. So remember that you shouldn't feel guilty for being happy. But I know that if you feel guilty for being happy, that's a trauma response or grief. This was a good one, Nina. Nose bleeding in kids. Nose bleeding in kids usually it's a, I know this sounds, I'm just going to say it. It's a child's way of crying for attention. When kids have constant nosebleeds, it's because they're being ignored, or they're a latchkey child, or mom's too busy. She's got 2 jobs and she's trying to make ends meet. So it usually is a cry for attention. Nosebleeds 9 times out of 10 is a cry for attention. The only time Stephen will get nosebleeds is when I was gone on a weekend, because like I would have to travel up to Minneapolis, do a live audience reading, and then come back. So I'd be gone for 2 to 3 days. That Monday, sure as heck, he'd wake up and he'd have a nosebleed. So nosebleeds are for kids who need their parents' attention, but they don't want to ask for it. So that's I like I said, that's a good one for the nosebleeds. Here's a great question too. Lisa's asking, how do you remember the repressed memory of the trauma that caused your PTSD? I'm going to tell you what, we don't open Pandora's box if our soul is not ready for that. Your mind, your ego may be, you know what, let's heal this trauma, let's get over it, but your soul might not be ready. And so I will tell you that the more you work on you, that trauma memory will get unlocked Oh, it will. I'm not a big person enforcing that because it if you were to get that revealed to you when your soul is ready, you were able to process it, you were able to let it go, you were able to forgive it and move on. If you do it forcefully, it's a little bit harder for you to process. It's a little bit harder for you to move on from that. So I always tell people when it comes to repressed memories, they will show up. Oh, trust me, if you're on an awakening journey like all of us here, it's going to come up. And you could be sitting there watching a TV channel and boom, there it is. It will come when your soul is ready to work through it, not when your mind or your ego is. So I've seen a lot of people have difficulties, big difficulties, when they choose to open up Pandora's box before their soul is ready. And you could do that with hypnotherapy and things like that. I would highly advise against it, but to each their own. Sometimes cavernoma and seizures, sometimes that is environmental. So let's make sure you're not in a moldy house. Let's make sure something weird isn't going on. But ultimately, usually seizures are big time OCD control, like perfection control, OCD, things must be a certain way. And again, that's all a trauma response by you either putting the pressure on you to be perfect or a parent putting the pressure on you to be perfect. What's going on when you are asleep and dreaming and can't seem to wake up from the dream? That's just because a lot of times what ends up happening is your subconscious and your conscious start fighting a little bit. So that's all that is. And that's also your body's way of going, we ain't getting up yet. We need to rest. So it's all good. It's never a bad thing. Yep. Tracy, and I was saying this, and I'll say this again. If you are dizzy, if you are lightheaded, if you are sleeping 12 hours or 2 hours, if you are eating like a stuck pig or you're not eating at all, if your attitude is rather sour and you can't stand the way people are breathing right now, you're right on point. Schumann resonance has been off the charts. So like get outside, hydrate with a lot of water. And you're also going to know you're going to have some tummy issues here with this one. And then you might notice that you're getting a little bit more allergic to certain food. So we got kind of like up a notch here, vibratorily speaking. And whenever we get up a notch, we get more aversions to food and alcohol and other things like that. So a cardinal, a butterfly, a frog, a dragonfly within 20 minutes of my walk. What does it mean? It just means that you happen to see them. So, and like I said, for you, it could be a part of your animal totem. It could be from a loved one. It could be anything. But what I like to do is I don't usually look up on Google. I usually don't look up the spiritual meaning. I actually end up looking up the dream meaning behind it, because it seems like the dream meaning for me matches up a lot better with what's going on in my reality than me looking up the meaning or the spiritual meaning behind, like a frog, because there's like 40 million different ones. But if you look up the dream meaning, it's a little bit easier to figure out. Yeah, alcohol, people are like, yeah, tummy issues, it feels like a low-grade flu. Exactly. Body aches. Yeah, that's it's when your soul takes off and grows, your mind is right behind it. That's why everything irritates the shit out of us today. So our soul grew, our mind grew, and then our body is the last to react. That's why our body hurts, headachy, it's sore, we don't have any energy. So it's like I said, par for the course. Just listen to your body. If you're craving sugar or you're craving salty, then we need to make sure your nutrition is on point. So this is the time, like, don't cut your corners. So do your nutrition, drink your water, self-care is a must, all those good things. So yeah, I'm not hungry at all. All I want to do is freaking eat watermelon. Like Eric and I have been through 2 watermelons already. So I'm like, I have another one I just got. I'm going to rip that sucker open here a little bit later. So don't know why. I'm just craving that. Oh, this is a good question. Susie's asking, how do you really know if something is to be or something is supposed to happen? I will tell you, it's not up to you. It's not. Sure, you can manifest, you bet, but ultimately how it comes to you or what happens outside of you is out of your control. So this is what makes it hard as a psychic, because if I say that you're going to go left and you instead at that point go right, then everything I said from that point on is now null and void. So it's really hard to know if that's supposed to happen or did free will change that course. So, but I've always learned a long time ago, it doesn't matter to me how whatever happens. I'm only in control of what I do, what I say, what I think, and how I react. Anything else past that, that's God stuff. So I don't even worry about it anymore. How people react is on you. How I react to you is on me. So that's my karma. Mm-hmm. Big toes. That has a lot to do with, first of all, it's very common to have fungus on the toenails. It really is. It's usually due to a deficiency, because here's the deal, I crave sugar, and that's an ADHD thing, but I also have learned it's because I'm low on vitamin D. I'm low on something, iron, vitamin D, magnesium usually. So again, if you're having those fungal issues on the big toe, 9 times out of 10, it's what you're eating. You need better nutrition. And then almost always people that have issues with their big toes have a hard time moving forward with decisions. They have a hard time moving forward with choices. They want to make sure everything is a-okay and everything has to be perfect before they take a small step forward. So let's see here. I'll talk about this one, Melanie. Why do you have sleep paralysis? So let me reverse that. When you're going to bed at night and you kind of do that jerky thing that you feel like you're falling, what's happening is your soul is beginning ready to leave the body, and your body's like, hey, I'm not asleep yet. And so your mind then thinks or tries to compute and tells your brain, oh, I was just falling. So that's sleep. That's when your soul is leaving the body and your body's like, I'm not asleep. It's the opposite for sleep paralysis. Your body is starting to wake up and your soul is like, oh crap, because you were out astral traveling, really farting around and not getting back to your body in time. And so then what has to happen is these two forcefully come together, because your body is like, oh shit, I'm not in my body. And your soul up here is like, oh crap, I'm not in my body. And so a lot of times people will say, well, I saw somebody hovering over me. I'm like, well, it was you trying to get back in your own body. And so when that happens, a lot of times it has to force its way back into the body. And so have you ever woke up and you're kind of shaky a little bit? And you're like, why am I so shaky? That's because your soul barely made it back in time. So that's what sleep paralysis is. It's because your soul is not getting back into the body after astral traveling before your body is starting to wake up. So it's kind of a brain glitchy issue if you want to think about it that way. It's going from a theta to an alpha state. So it kind of glitches a little bit. And so I hated that when that happened to me. So I told my spirit guides and God a long time ago, show me a clock or a watch. If you show me a clock or a watch in my dream, I'll shut up and leave. So I haven't had any more problems since I asked God, just don't let that happen anymore. Like, it's fine. I'll get back. So, but I need kind of somebody to tell me, hey, get back. Jen, a lot of times, a lot of people do have sometimes issues with low blood pressure, especially with autoimmune issues, or if they have, like POTS or anything like that. So usually they do have a little medication that might help with that. Just make sure, like I said, everything's a-okay with her and her salt is a-okay too. So this is a good one. Jessica's asking, how do you overcome your insecurities? Understand where they come from in the first place. You probably believed a comment somebody said to you off the cuff, and for whatever reason it stuck. You also have to break this down and look at how you were raised by your parents. So like I said, let's look at how you were raised, especially by your father. Because a dad's job, if you have a good father, you will learn how your self-worth how your self-confidence comes out. So that's a dad's job for their daughter, is to help them with their solar plexus and their sacral, build their self-confidence, build their self-worth by showing what a man does, because the daughter will date by which the standard that their dad sets for them. Okay, so if you have a father who is an alcoholic, you are more likely to date an alcoholic right out the gate, because you're going to deem that as normal, because that's normal behavior for you. You don't know any other behavior until you leave the house. So your dad has a significant influence on a girl's solar plexus. So let's really break this down and look at how your dad probably wasn't there for you a whole lot growing up, and probably didn't hug and kiss you, and probably didn't say, hey, I love you, let alone I'm proud of you. So, but that's where a lot of girls' insecurities, the first person I'm going to do is I'm like, hey, let's trace this back and talk about your dad, because rarely is it the mother, rarely is it the same sex parent that does the insecurity thing. It can happen, it's 10%. So, but most of the time it's a dad. It's the dad wasn't there. The ringing in the right ear. So the low pitch ringing in the right ear are your spirit guides. The high pitch ringing in the right ear are going to be your angels. Sometimes the left is going to be more, loved ones, things like that. If it's both of them at the same time and it does been really weird, then that's usually solar flare, Schumann resonance spike, something like that. I will talk about this a little bit, Christy. You've been so forgetful. Unfortunately, this is one of the weird side effects of going through a spiritual awakening or being enlightened. Now that you are using your intuition or your psychic abilities, your logic kind of gets dialed down a little bit. So you will begin to forget little things. You'll also notice that your handwriting is going to get worse. And the reason why your handwriting gets worse is because your brain is moving so much faster now that writing seems really slow. Really slow. But it's common. It's common. So I don't know, Emily, here's the weird thing with this. I don't know if there's like a freaking outbreak of shingles right now, but it seems like everybody and their damn dog has shingles right now. What the hell's going on? I don't get it. So I will tell you, I'm not anti-vax. I'm not. But I will take the shingle shot. I'm not going to do the flu shot. I'm not going to do any of those others. But I'm going to do the shingles one because I did have chicken pox, and there's a lot of weird shingles. It's crazy. There's a lot of shingles. Everybody has shingles right now. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So, but yeah, I need to figure out the emotional. We're going to look that one up, because I'm like, wait a second. If there's too many people having shingles and I'm not figuring it out, this book right here, by the way, you want this book. Get this book. I have used this sucker so many times. Love this book, Metaphysical Anatomy by Yvette Rose. Don't get the second or third one. Just get this one. This one has everything. So shingles. Let me look that one up super quick, because everybody's got it right now. And my mom lives in a 55 older community, and she's like, everybody has shingles. I'm like, and everybody that I spoke to, their mom or sibling has shingles. I'm like, what the hell? So let me look this one up. So shingles, SH, sickle cell. Oh, I'm getting closer. Shoulder, no, shingles, shin splints, shingles. You often feel overburdened by life and are carrying everyone's problems on your back. Oh, so especially empaths, great. So especially those of your mother or your father. Ooh, okay. You often feel, okay, let me repeat. You often feel overburdened by life and are carrying everyone's problems on your back, especially those of your mother or your father's. The bond between you and your parents may have been hostile and cold. You may have been made to feel that your efforts were never good enough when you were trying to please either one of your parents. Oh, damn. They're singles. It's being overburdened by your parents' crap. Good to know. Didn't know that one. I know that one now. That's good to know. So, like I said, it has a lot to do with, well, boomer parents, well, I shouldn't say boomer parents, their parents. What do you call, what's the generation above boomers? I don't know. I guess I don't know that. So, but their parents, the boomers' parents, gee, you thought boomers were cold. No, boomers weren't cold. They just forgot about us Gen Xers. They're just left us to our own devices. Boomer parents were cold, ice cold. So, yeah, it has to do with mom and dad. That makes sense. And if usual silent generation, that's it. Usually, if both of your parents are passed and you do have shingles, then I'm guessing you're dealing with a sibling, and that's drumming up those old feelings again. So, but yeah, silent generation. Like I said, it's you were to be seen and not heard. Sometimes you weren't even supposed to be seen. They were cold, very cold. Yeah, my great grandma's cold as ice but cool as hell. Yeah, those are the ones I learned with the silent generation. Sarcasm, because I'm a Gen Xer. Sarcasm doesn't go well for that silent generation. Yee. Oy. Andrea says 9-year-old daughter had seizure tests, all came back normal. Thank God. Usually at 9 years old, they're going to grow out of it, especially right before they hit puberty. I have found that there's a lot between 8 and 10-year-old girls, especially, have the tendency to have seizures about that time. And honestly, I think it's because their hormones are just like, because your pituitary gland and all the other glands are fired. Usually 9 or 8, 9, 10 to 12-year-old girls have the tendency to really be EMF sensitive and blow out light bulbs and computers and everything else. So especially before menstruation or ovulation. That's something I've noticed. Let's see. Yes, shin splints, Amy, are for, because my son had them too. And yeah, I looked that one up. It's because they don't want to be seen as weak. They will shut up and tough it out. And it doesn't matter how bad, but they will tough it out and they will do it and they won't bitch about it until they get home and be like, I hurt so bad. So, but they're just trying to be tough and stoic. It's kind of that stoicism, like, nope, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't want to show weakness. It's a weakness thing. Steven, my son wants to go into the state patrol. He doesn't want to show weakness. I'm like, yeah. Let's see here. Low pitch right ear. How do you know? Your guides aren't necessarily communicating. It's not that they're trying to like yell at you. It's just that they happen to be in your auric field and it's causing some dissonance. That's it. And a lot of times if my ears ring out of whack like that a little bit, I'm going to pay attention to what I'm thinking about, because I was usually thinking about something that A, I didn't need to be worried about, or B, something I didn't need to be thinking about because it was negative. Krista, that is it. There's some people who are just navigationally challenged. I have a friend who's that way. So she will never sit in the passenger seat. She's like, because I do not do navigation. So some people just do. Now, my son, you can go one place and he'll remember how to get there. My daughter, she could drive there in 4-block radius and she still wouldn't know. So some people are just, their brains don't work that way. So that's all right. But they're not directionally, yeah. So anymore with my daughter, I'm like, Blair is north. And she's like, yes. I'm like, Blair is north. Hi. Let's see here. Extended stomach. Jody, watch what you're eating. You can't do low vibrational foods anymore. You can't do frozen pizzas. You can't do mac and cheese. You have to start cooking your own food. You got to start going to farmers markets. You got to start, like I said, the food is getting to be Frankenfood. So really, I'm telling you, go to your farmers markets, go to your local, go to your farmers for the meat, go local, because it's starting to get weird. They're starting to get really weird food. So womanly issues, gentry, how do you fix them? So a lot of times it's because you're not speaking your truth with what you want in the bedroom. That could be one. The other one, a lot of times when girls have a lot of, like ovary issues, or ovarian or uterine issues, 9 times out of 10, it's because their dad was a good dad, but dad wasn't very loving, wasn't very huggy kissy, wasn't very expressive with his love. And 9 times out of 10, we marry somebody just like that. So a lot of times it's usually because of the disconnect, or between the relationship between you and your father or you and your partner. So this is a lot of times where you're asking, is it mom issues? No, because your mother is going to teach you what to accept in a guy and what not to accept in a man. This all goes back to your dad was probably a good dad, but not huggy kissy. He probably was a farmer, truck driver, something like that. So irregardless, your mom could be a narcissistic bee, and it would have nothing to do really with you having the womanly issues that you are. So yeah, you're saying holy moly. I'm like, yep, it's gonna be because of your dad. And then if your mother bitches to you about your dad, it's gonna close that sacral even worse. So, because we want a nice, open, evil, sacral chakra. And anytime mom's going to bitch about dad, it's just going to go shut. So don't listen to mom when she complains about dad, or tell mom, I'm done talking about dad. If I want to hear about dad, I'll talk to dad. So this is okay. Dreams about having babies. It doesn't mean that you're actually going to have babies. It means that you are really thinking about the future and what you're about ready to do. So dreaming about birth or death for me is a good sign. That means to tell me that you're getting ready to change. That's a big transitional type of dream, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You're ready to change. I'm like, do it. Do it. I saw this one really quick. Parathyroid issues. That's because you don't speak your truth. You don't tell people no. You have a hard time being vulnerable, and you don't like the attention on you, and you probably can't handle confrontation very well. So we need to start speaking our truth, standing up for yourself, telling people no, because, well, they're lazy and they just want you to do it for them. No. Jody, that's going to take a little bit. She's asking about continuous pain in neck after surgery. That's going to take time because nerve endings take a long time to heal. Look into holistic ways that you can fix the myelin sheath around your nerve endings. I think you'll be able to find a couple. I know that there's a few things. I just can't. I can see them in my head, but I can't tell you what they are. So waking up with stomach pain so what I would do is when you're waking up in the morning, because sometimes I wake up with tummy pain, or at least I used to, I would get a bottle of water, 2 tablespoons of organic lemon juice in one of these waters, shake it up, chug it. It's not lemony because it's only 2 tablespoons. It dilutes pretty good. Chug this in the morning, wait 20 minutes, then go ahead and have your coffee. That has helped me so much because it feeds your good bacteria and kills off the bad bacteria. Yes, Danny's asking, child turned 5, talked about dying soon since she could talk, past life memory. Usually that's a past life memory and nothing to worry about. No, that's almost always a past life memory. Chronic hives, Heather. It could be because of an allergy of something that you're eating or an environmental issue. So again, let's make sure you don't have any black mold or anything weird going on in the house. But ultimately the emotion behind that is pure irritation. You are constantly pissed off, or somebody around you is pissing you off. Well, you're allowing yourself to get pissed off, but you know what I mean. Have I heard of electroculture for gardening and plants? Hell yes, and I do it. And I did an experiment last year where I did electroculture on one of my beds and I didn't do electroculture on the other. Holy crap, big difference, big difference. So what she's talking about electroculture is you're taking anything like a bamboo, piece of bamboo, whatever. But you could do anything, anything that conduct electricity. But usually what I would say, like, you know, those steel rebars, you could use rebar. But all you're going to do is wrap copper around it all the way. And you're going to leave like a little end on your copper, and you're going to put that in the ground. And what that does is takes the energy from the ether, pulls it down, and your plants love it. So I did an experiment last year because I wanted to try it. Big difference. So absolutely, yes, I do. And now I even have some at the store because I made some up with a quartz crystal and I wrapped them in copper, and I have a few at the store, and I actually put some in my plants here at home too. So you can wrap your copper in clear quartz points. And I could tell you that clear quartz works really well. Moss agate, they like moss agate a lot. Tree agates, really anything. But yes, electroculture does work. So it's crazy, but yeah, it does work. Let's see here. Kidney stones are usually, Sasha, that you're having an issue with your family and you're really pissed off about that issue. So maybe somebody's getting treated better than you, or you see yourself less than within the family. So, but kidneys almost always have to do with your siblings or your parents and your relationship in that family, and how you're being perceived. So, but kidney stones are usually because you're really angry at how either other people are getting treated or how you are getting treated less than your siblings. Hashimoto's, Amy, is similar to the throat issue, but Hashimoto's is more like you were never heard, or every time, no, but you were never believed. You would say something, they're like, oh, you're lying. You're like, no, it really happened. So it's almost like nobody believes that you're speaking truth. Nobody believes what you're saying. So it's kind of like people are constantly telling you, no, you're lying, or you're faking, or whatever. So a lot of times I see the Hashimoto's with the doubt that nobody believes you, especially your parents. And you're like, I'm telling the truth. So, let's see. Oh, geez. Hang on one sec. 6-year-old tonsils swollen a lot, female, Dawn. That's usually strep, and that means to tell me that somebody in the family is a strep carrier, so it's pretty common. I will tell you that I had really swollen tonsils too a lot, and I had strep throat a lot as a kid. But somebody probably keeps re-inoculating her in a way. But yeah, I have to watch for strep on that. But tonsils they help with the lymph nodes. They help with getting rid of the bad stuff in the body. So, liver, anything to do with Sandy, anything to do with liver is anger. Yeah, being really upset, being angry. So Nancy, I talked about this one earlier, but the emotion behind repetitive nosebleeds is it's a silent cry for attention. It's a silent cry for, look at me, usually with parents. But if it's repetitive, it could be medical. So maybe your blood might be too thin. There could be that too. So obviously we're gonna check in with doctor, but usually the emotional issue behind repetitive nosebleeds is a lack of attention from your family members or your parents. So yeah, and a lot of people are asking about thyroid, and thyroid is like I said, you not speaking your truth, you not telling people no, you not confronting people or dealing with confrontation. It could also be you not being vulnerable and speaking your truth about how things make you feel. So it's a lot of speaking. It's a lot of you not telling the truth about how it feels for you because you don't want to start a problem or a confrontation. Jocelyn, a lot of times the females are holding on to weight on their stomach area. It's usually hormonal. So we have to check the thyroid. Let's check the endocrine system. Let's really look that over. But 9 times out of 10, it's hormonal. So too much estrogen, too much progesterone, not enough testosterone. Usually those are the issues. Sometimes it's thyroid, but almost always it's something to do with the endocrine system that's off for people to hold on to weight in that stomach area. Eating According to Your Blood Type. Chris, that's a great book. I like that book. And I will tell you, since I switched my diet, I'm O negative. Since I have switched my diet, tremendous help, man. I don't have the heartburn. I don't have the shits. I don't have the issues that I had. So yes, eating for your blood type works. I used to get heartburn so bad with orange juice, and that's one of the foods that I shouldn't be having. And I'm like, right? Let's see. Horrible headaches. Past 3 weeks, tried everything. Herbs, crystals, almost flu. Nikki, try to get outside the best that you can. But right away, when I went to go click on this, my neck, like my upper neck, really hurts. Something's off. This might be a chiropractor call or massage, like all up in here, but it's all here. So we got to get that area on you fixed, because it ain't right. Something's really off. So, So what's my take on children yelling a lot outside and their parents allow it? They're kids. They're kids. As long as they're, not doing it at like 11 o'clock at night. So, but the kids. Yes, Lisa, that is past life. Yep, that's a past life impression. Yep. And that might be a fear that she will have for the rest of her life. So it very well could be. We want to try to work that out of her a little bit, especially at an early age, but not forced. It has to be kind of slowly introduced. Slowly. Can anyone help themselves to change their energy to raise their vibration of being happier? Yes. So one, you got to meditate. Meditation is baseline foundation for psychic abilities or attitude adjustments. So I encourage you and you don't have to go over 20 minutes a day, but even if it's hard, 5 minutes counts, right? So just sit there and be bored. That's meditating. Just sit and be bored. That counts. That's meditating. But the more you meditate, the more you're going to see how when those emotions hit, you don't react as fast. You're just like, why are you pissing me off? Instead of you reacting pissed off, you're just like, why are you pissing me off? And then after a while, you're like, why am I allowing myself to get mad at you when you're an idiot? So, but meditate. It really is going to help. And then the other thing, do whatever it takes for you to be happy. And I'm talking the little things. Listen to the comedy shows. Comedy is a great way to raise your vibration. Jam out to the songs that you like on the radio. So do the little tiny things that make you happy. Those will eventually add up to bigger ones. Okay? They really will. Favorite sage spray for moving into an apartment? Michaela, my favorite, I like the Blessed Sage with lavender that we sell at Awakenings. That's one of my favorites because it doesn't stink. Some of them that you smell like dirty man armpit. So this at least smells like lavender. It's really light fragrance. That's one of my favorites, especially if you're living in an apartment or even in your car. So, or people, teenagers. Let's see. How do you know with your soul family? They piss you off. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, the soul family. You're supposed to learn with a soul family, but usually a soul family, their birthdays are kind of similar, or somebody's born and die on the same day, or they have similar like numerology or similar astrology. So usually those are going to be indicators of soul families. Somebody's asking, is there a 70? There's actually 12. 12 is Godhead. 12. It's always 1, 3, 6, 9, 12. There's 12. Yeah, so we're going from 3D to 5D, and there's 12. It only took us about 23,000 years. So, boy, it's just, we're rocking it, man. We're moving up that real fast. Frankie, this is actually legit. So a reason a child 13 might have a vomit phobia and how to help, it's because they probably died in a past life choking on their own puke. So the phobia that they have in this life is legit. And there's nothing you can really do necessarily to help with that. I have found that people that do hypnotherapy actually can kind of help get over that a little bit. So that's a tricky one, because if they experienced it in their most recent past life, that's legit in this life. They're going to fear it. So usually that's where it's kind of coming from. Can bird watching or listening to crickets be a form of meditation? Not only yes, but hell yes. But watching the birds or hearing the birds or crickets actually opens up your throat chakra. That's one of the natural things that you can listen to outside that would open up your throat chakra. So bells, chimes is for this one here. Crickets is for this one. Air is for your heart. So each one has a different element outside. Like thunder is your root chakra. Water is your solar plexus. Sacral is fire. So you can go out for outside and have Mother Nature fix it. That's why, like I said, go put your back up against a tree. That'll fix it faster than anything else. Really will. Let me see. How can you cleanse a space without using sage or burning anything? Oh, a couple ways. You can clap your hands, because when you clap your hands, especially in corners, it causes a dissonance or a different vibration in the room. Singing bowls can be used, Palo Santo, incense sticks, different crystals can do that. So there's a lot of different things you can use. Rheumatoid arthritis is usually for people who take on everybody's burden. They're the go-to person to get things done, but they like it their way and a certain way, and they have the tendency to be very rigid. Like things have to be a certain way. So they kind of have the tendency to be a little rigid with some things, but they are the person who does everything for anybody, and they don't say anything. They're just quiet about it. Ringing a bell, yeah, Deborah, ringing like a cowbell or a doorbell will absolutely help to get rid of negative energy too. Yep. So what's the whooshing things that happens in the head? That's usually a shift of energy that we've had. So, and sometimes it kind of even makes you a little dizzy too. So, yep. Your son's been wanting chimes. And if he struggles with headaches, that would help him. Diabetic issues, Denise, is usually for somebody who thought they had the love of their life, like right next to him. Oh my God, that's my soulmate. I'm going to marry him. And then the rug got taken out from under them, and they just crashed. So usually that's diabetic. They lost the sweetness for life. They found somebody else, but it's okay. So usually that's where diabetic stuff, emotionally, that's where it comes from. Sleep apnea, sometimes it's a weight issue. They're just too big. Other times they don't want to discuss how they truly feel. They're kind of choking on those emotions. They don't want to discuss how they really truly feel about certain things. They're like, oh, I'm fine. You're like, really? Are you really fine? So, skin issue, dry scales, middle of forehead won't heal. Marlene, that's going to be a nutritional issue. Let's make sure that you have fish oils. Let's make sure you have vitamin E. Let's make sure you're good with vitamin D so it can move that stuff. So usually that's going to be a nutritional issue. We're missing something. So we need a good vitamin. And it's not always lotion. It's not always that. So yeah, if you're having a lot of dizziness right now, Debbie, a lot of us are. Black crystals. And I will tell you, if I'm not wearing my grounding pendant, which I didn't today, I was wearing both black on my wrists today just to help with the grounding. So we've had a lot of shifts, not only from the sun, but from the earth too. And so that's why we're seeing this crazy weather right now and stuff like that. So like I said, take care of you. Like I said, between now and Friday, Thursday, but mostly Friday, really, like I said, pay attention to how you're feeling. If you need to sleep, rest. If you need to eat, eat. If you're craving, like I said, certain things, then we might be missing some nutrition here. So pretty par for the course. So Amanda, this is pretty common when you get emotional. People, a lot of times, what that is an anxiety push. So that means to tell me when you were a child, in your household, it would have been extremely difficult for you to talk about how you feel. It would have been difficult for you to talk about really anything because you were shut down right away because either they were too busy or whatever reason you were shut down. And so now when you get the opportunity to vocalize, something that's important, you're going to notice that anxiety coming back. And that is a subconscious response to what might have happened in childhood. And so I want you to be able to go back into that childhood and fix that. Forgive your parents. But now that maybe you're an adult, you can maybe see it from a different perspective. So it might be easier to forgive now. Supreme Court fenced out. Oh, you're going to see truth. Remember, it's a karmic year. It is a karmic year this year. You are going to see a lot more truth coming out. What is it, Julian Assange? He got released today. You're going to see a lot of truth coming to the surface. It's a karmic year. It's a year of 8. So, yep, truth is coming. So, and some of it is going to be almost extremely difficult for you to even comprehend. But have an open mind. Do your research. We're using discernment still. So, because there's a lot of false stories going around too. So use your discernment, be smart before you buy it hook, line, and sinker. Use your discernment, but you're going to find a lot more truth. You're starting to see who the good guys are in Hollywood and who the bad guys are in Hollywood, who took the oath with the devil and who didn't. So you're starting to see the truth coming out now. So, and I suspect it's, like I said, let me just say this. You thought up to this point, we've seen some shit. This is just the first half of this year. We're in a voting year. You're going to see some stuff between now and December that you're going to be like, yeah, it's going to be a soap opera. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And we don't know exactly what's going to happen. And I say we because my spirit guides are like, well, you have 5 different things that could happen on this timeline. I'm like, well, so like I said, all we can do is react to it. But we've had just about enough of the bullshit. So we're not quite there yet, but we're close. So we're just waiting for a few things to happen. Oh yeah, and but remember, in order for good things to happen, sometimes we have to destroy the old things first. And that's scary for a lot of people who don't like change. So things are going to change. They need to. I think we can all agree something has to change. We know the political system, the educational system, and the healthcare system is a joke. I think we can all agree on that right now. And it doesn't matter what you believe in politically or what you believe in any direction. So we can all agree that it's pretty messed up. So we need to start kind of fixing those. And what I've been encouraging people to do is if you're, run for your school boards, run for your city offices, run for city council, run for those positions and get involved, because the only way you're going to make change is if we get involved. So, I mean, talking about it and putting your opinion out there is one thing, but getting involved and doing something about it, that's how we start to make change. So, let me see. Any other questions, guys? Do we have any other questions? Quick ones. I gotta go for my walk. Multiple migraines, yeah, and that's par for the course. The migraines, the dizziness, the weird ear thing, that's all par for the course right now because of all the solar flares and the Schumann resonance spikes that we've had. So ground as much as you possibly can. Like I said, lots and lots of water, lots of water. So, Psoriasis is because you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. Usually it has to do with work. It's kind of like you deem yourself important enough that if you don't show up to work, everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. So, is the sun a simulator? It might be. I think we can all agree the sun is not the same. Not the same. Not even close. I think we can all agree to that. Now, whether it's a simulator or a hologram or whatever the hell, I have no clue. I just know it ain't right. But that's something I'm not too worried. I'm more worried, concerned about the aluminum that they're spraying in our air and the chemicals that they're spraying in the air with the chemtrails that they now have admitted. But, you know, so yeah, I'm more worried about that because there are 4 things to ingest that would shut down your pineal gland and help people that want to become enlightened. Fluoride's one of them. Aluminum's a big one. It goes to the pineal and binds it up. So, and I think it's ironic how they're spraying aluminum. We have aluminum in our deodorant, aluminum a lot of times in the products that we use. We drink out of aluminum cans. We eat out of aluminum cans. We cook with aluminum foil. I'm like, and then everybody's trying to figure out why they're kind of sick. I'm like, we have a lot of heavy metal detoxing that we need to do. And it's not from mercury or lead. It's from aluminum. So there's a lot of like some pretty decent ones at like Walgreens, CVS, things like that. So thoughts about the rubber things that they're finding? That's what they're spraying in the air. And the rubber produce that's what I'm saying is that we're beginning to get franken-food. So there are people opening up avocados that they're not even ripening. They're opening up an avocado, putting it out, and it's not even turning brown, and it's rubbery. So blueberries are getting this way. That's like, we are getting some serious franken-food. And I'm like, don't go to don't go to Walmart anymore. Don't go to the Costco's. Go to your local grocers. Go to the mom and pop stores. Go to, like I said, your local farmers. That's where you're going to find the good food. So you have to be diligent now and really making sure that what you're eating hasn't been manipulated so much that your body won't even ingest it. So, so this one, oops, EMFs don't help with no, it doesn't. But I will talk about this one really quick, Krista. I'm working on, as soon as my website is done, this is a big website. So as soon as it's done, I'm going to be announcing a subscription program where once a month I'm doing the Zoom forums, and we're going to talk about some shit. So the stuff that I can't talk about on these platforms because they will shadow ban me. They'll shut me down. So I have to be very careful with some of the things. I know a lot, but I can't say a lot because I'll get shadow banned. So the next best thing I can do is have a little tiny subscription program, get on once, if not twice a month, and do some Q&As and help you guys answer some of those bigger questions that you really want to know, but we can't really talk about here, stuff like that. So I haven't gotten that out yet. Like I said, I'll make that big announcement along with 2 other announcements once my website is done. So, but I'm not going to announce a bunch of stuff if I don't have my website done and you can't go there. So we'll get this figured out, but just hang with me. I need another 3 weeks to get my website done, or at least somewhat done. My marketing director, Alika, has been busting her ass on this, getting it done. So, but the reason why I'm having to redo the website is because I want to get Enlightenment Academy online. So I will be able to have that online, and you guys can purchase the module. So if you want to learn about meditation, you can purchase the module. Boom, there you go. So if you want to learn about law of attraction, it's literally right there. So everything's kind of on demand. So that's what is taking so long, let alone the fact that I have to shoot these videos yet. So it's going to be a little bit of a trial by fire, but we'll get there. So, but right now we're just working on the website and getting that done. So, but I'll have 2 other announcements after that. Big announcements, big ones. So, but I just can't say what they are yet because, well, I don't want to spill beans. So, but as soon as my website's done, I'll announce that my website's done, and then you'll see me. I might even get on live and just say, hey, I'm going to make an announcement tonight. So that way everybody's kind of knowing about it. If you haven't, make sure that you've signed up for my newsletters. I'll see if I can put the link out for the newsletter so you guys can sign up for that. I know my website's not done yet, but that's going to be the best way to get any information. Because right now, again, I'm getting a little bit more shadow banned here. So when I post something, maybe 200 people see it instead of the 100,000 people that follow me. So your best bet on tracking any of my movements is going to be with the newsletter, signing up for that, which again, my website's not done, but we'll get there. Outside of that though, have a good weekend. Like I said, energy has been a little batshit crazy. You're going to feel batshit crazy. So ground, hydrate, meditate, stay away from people, listen to your body. Listen to your body. It's going to tell you what's going on. So I don't have a lot going on. I think the next Q&A I have is going to be after the 4th of July. So everybody have a good 4th of July. Really, it's gonna be good. So have a good 4th of July. Enjoy it. All righty. So I'm sure we're going to have some more solar flares and more activity. I'll try to keep letting everybody know, hey, we had solar flare here. We just had a Schumann spike. So hang in there. But yeah, in the meantime, like I said, we're all going to kind of lay low a little bit. And we're going to just kind of roll with it. So, all right, guys, take care. Like I said, listen to your body best you can. So, but have a wonderful afternoon and a good week ahead. All right, guys, take care.